The core foundation of soft life, creating a soft life, for me has been cultivating peace, cultivating peaceful environments for myself. I do not go places where I do not feel I am at peace. Um, this meant oftentimes I was by myself, oftentimes. But it beats being around people who cause me distress because I am keenly aware that distress wreaks havoc, especially prolonged distress, wreaks havoc on your health and it causes chronic issues. So I go out of my way to go places and create places and spaces where I am safe, places and spaces where I feel I can be myself, where I feel like being myself is a plus to the environment that I'm in. And this means, and what this has meant for me, because let me not say what it means for everybody, because everybody, peace is different for them. What's peaceful to me, peaceful to me, may not be peaceful to the next person, and vice versa. So that's why you have to curate an environment of peace for yourself. Okay, I can't tell you do this, and this, and you're going to have peace because that may not be the case. I can tell you some universal things like don't have anybody in your environment that's physically or emotionally or mentally or spiritually abusive. Somebody that makes you feel small, somebody that makes you feel diminished or makes you feel like you have to fight for your existence, like you don't have a right to exist. That is a universal fact. You do not need to be in those kind of environments. You do not want to keep people in your space who make you feel like you have to be on a defense at all times. That is that's definitely leads to chronic health problems, okay? So you want to create or curate a an environment of peace for yourself. That is for me the first tenet to soft life. When you go home, do you feel at rest? Do you feel like you can take off your clothing and nobody's going to judge what you look like? You can take off whatever, your makeup, wigs, nails, whatever, and nobody's going to say you look like blah 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 blah. That's the kind of space I wanted to create for myself when I went home. Um as well as I don't like people screaming or very loud noises in my environment, in my space, in my home. Now, granted, I have children, but you know, that's a children are a different, whole different thing than like a grown man raising his voice and screaming in my house. That caused me distress and anguish. I did not want to be in that kind of situation for a prolonged period of time because I knew it was not conducive to having good health. And I'm going to get into that on some of my upcoming videos. But for this video, Soft Life, I want to encourage you to curate environments of peace. And I'm going to give you this one example and then I'm finished. This is very, very, very subtle ways people abuse you. I had a close caretaker, family member who was a caretaker of mine when I was growing up. Um, Everybody in my family is aware that it took me longer than 4 years to achieve my bachelor's degree. And, at the time I didn't have a master's degree. And I had this close family member, every time they would mention my accomplishment, they would say, "Yeah, you got a master's degree, right?" And I would say, "Well, no, I got a bachelor's degree." But at first I thought this was, just a mistake, right? I mean, this person doesn't even have a high school diploma. So it was kind of strange that they even cared that I had a degree at all. But, they was pointing it out in a way where it was like, "Oh, I'm acknowledging your accomplishment." But at the same time, they was belittling it too, subtly. And I realized it was a subtle attack because every time they would do this, I would feel in myself like, "Oh, I should have, a master's degree. I could have had one, but, it took me this long to, so I would feel some kind of inadequacy surrounding an accomplishment that I should have been celebrating because basically no one in my immediate family even had a degree at that time. So it was just at that time I realized, hey, this person is violent. They're intentionally doing this, and it's making me feel some kind of way. And then I started to be more aware of the things that this person was saying and doing, and I realized this person, I needed to get them out of my environment, because that was the first time I noticed that they was intentionally trying to elicit a feeling of inadequacy, intentionally trying to elicit negative feelings. Let's just put it that way. And I began to wonder, how many times had they done this? Like, how many times in other ways had they been doing this to me? And I didn't pick up on it. I didn't pick up on the fact that it was intentional. Like, they made me feel inadequate, but I did not know that it was intentional. And once I realized it was intentional, I, of course, removed myself from that person's environment, and I do not allow that person to come in my environment, except for a set number of times, maybe once every 5 years. Okay, very limited. And this extends to friends. It extends to colleagues, dealing with certain people, because you can't change them. And if you point out what they're doing, they're most likely just going to figure out a better way to do it. So the best thing you can do is just get out of that environment and create an environment of peace and ease for yourself, and make sure that the people who come into it are in alignment with your peace. And what's peace for me may not be peace for someone else. Okay? So it is upon us to create or to cultivate or to curate environments of peace and ease for ourselves. And it is very, very important to your health that you do this. And that, to me, is the core foundation of soft life.